After studying survivors of the Holocaust, the Oklahoma City bombing, and 9/11, psychologists found something unexpected. Many survivors reported that the traumatic experience had ultimately made them stronger, that they had developed new perspectives, deeper relationships, and greater personal strength through the struggle. Post-traumatic growth is real, measurable, and common. Trauma does not inevitably produce disorder. It can produce transformation. Resilience is the capacity to recover from adversity, adapt to significant challenges, and maintain psychological functioning under stress. It is not the absence of distress. Resilient people experience pain, grief, and difficulty, but the ability to continue functioning and ultimately recover. Resilience research began with Emmy Werner's longitudinal study of high-risk children on the island of Kauai, who showed unexpectedly positive developmental outcomes despite poverty, parental psychopathology, and family instability. The study identified protective factors that distinguished resilient from non-resilient children and established resilience as a developmental phenomenon. Decades of resilience research have identified consistent protective factors. Secure attachment in childhood establishes a template for trusting relationships and emotion regulation that buffers against adversity. Self-regulation, the ability to manage emotional responses, delay gratification, and maintain goal-directed behavior, is one of the strongest predictors of positive outcomes across adversities. Optimistic but realistic explanatory styles reduce the impact of setbacks. Strong social support networks provide both practical assistance and the emotional buffering that reduces the physiological stress response. Suzanne Kobas's concept of hardiness identifies a constellation of attitudes that buffer the impact of stressful life events. Hardy individuals show commitment. They find meaning in their activities and relationships rather than feeling alienated. They maintain a sense of control, believing their choices and actions influence outcomes. And they perceive change and challenge as opportunities for growth rather than threats to security. Kobasa found that Illinois Bell executives who scored high on hardiness showed significantly fewer health problems during the massive organizational disruption of AT&T's breakup, compared to similarly stressed executives with low hardiness. Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun coined the term post-traumatic growth to describe the positive psychological changes that some individuals report emerging from their struggle with traumatic events. Reported growth occurs in 5 domains: new possibilities, discovering new paths previously unconsidered, relating to others, deepened relationships and empathy, personal strength, discovering reserves of resilience previously unknown, spiritual change, deepened existential understanding, and appreciation for life, finding renewed meaning in everyday experience. Growth is not the absence of suffering. It typically occurs alongside and through continued struggle. An important conceptual distinction separates resilience from post-traumatic growth. Resilience means bouncing back to the prior level of functioning. The person is essentially unchanged by the adversity, recovering their baseline. Post-traumatic growth goes beyond this. The person reports actually being better off on certain dimensions than they were before the trauma. Paradoxically, this means that highly resilient individuals who are minimally disrupted by trauma may be less likely to report post-traumatic growth than those who were substantially shaken, because meaningful growth appears to require genuine struggle and the shattering of prior assumptions. Regular aerobic exercise is among the most potent, evidence-based interventions for stress, anxiety, and depression available. It reduces baseline cortisol and inflammatory markers, promotes hippocampal neurogenesis, improves sleep quality, enhances self-efficacy, and provides a sense of mastery. A Cochrane review of exercise trials in depression found effect sizes comparable to antidepressant medications. The mental health benefits of exercise are dose-dependent. More is generally better up to a point, and are independent of weight loss or fitness improvements, suggesting a direct psychological mechanism. Social support is among the most powerful buffers against the physiological and psychological impact of stress. Berkman and Symes' landmark 1979 study of nearly 7,000 Alameda County residents found that those with strong social ties had dramatically lower mortality rates over 9 years, even after controlling for health behaviors and baseline health status. The mechanisms are multiple. Social support reduces the physiological stress response directly, provides practical resources, facilitates coping, buffers the appraisal of events as threatening, and combats the chronic loneliness that independently elevates inflammatory markers and mortality risk. James Pennybaker's research on expressive writing demonstrated that writing about traumatic or stressful experiences for 15 to 30 minutes per day over 3 to 5 days produced measurable improvements in immune function, reduced physician visits, and improved psychological well-being in the following weeks and months. The mechanism appears to involve translating diffuse, emotionally overwhelming experiences into coherent narrative, which facilitates cognitive processing, reduces intrusive thoughts, and provides a sense of meaning and closure. The benefits are not from emotional discharge, but from the cognitive integration that writing facilitates. Stress is not the enemy. It is the cost of being alive and caring about things. The research on resilience, hardiness, and post-traumatic growth reveals that adversity, responded to effectively, can be a catalyst for growth rather than simply damage. The evidence-based coping tools, exercise, social support, expressive writing, and cognitive reappraisal are not luxuries. They are the maintenance protocol for the human nervous system under load.